Well, hello. Welcome to class. I'm Susan. This is Comeback Yoga, level 2 class. We'll begin in about a minute. Give everybody a chance to settle in. Some people say yoga is magic, and some people say that yoga doesn't work. Um, and everybody's relationship with yoga is really different. Um, and the great thing is that you get to kind of focus on what you want to focus on in your practice. That's why yoga is still around as a practice, is because it's really individual to you. Welcome to Comeback Yoga Level 2 class. I'm Susan. We'll be practicing together for about 30, 40 minutes or so. And we'll begin cross-legged. You can give yourself a tall spine, your hands on the tops of your knees. You can tuck your chin slightly and look down towards your lap. Stretch out the back of your neck. Lift your head. Put your left hand over on your right hand and turn your upper body. Roll through your shoulders a little bit and then move your left shoulder blade away from your spine and your right shoulder blade towards your spine a little. It's like a stretch. And let go of the stretch. Put your left hand on your left knee, right hand on top, and turn. Once you've turned for a few moments, then move your left shoulder blade towards your spine, your right shoulder blade away from your spine. Just stretch shoulder blades. Maybe not the way you think about stretch usually, but it is a stretch. Got a little cat coming in here. She likes to come in and check on me, see how I am. That's very nice. Thank you. And face forward. You're going to roll through your shoulders, up and back and down. And put your hands on the tops of your knees and lean forward. Straighten your arms, lift your torso, and roll through your shoulders, up, back, and down. We've got rotation in our spine, and then we'll do a side stretch, curving your spine one side. Stretch it out and then lean. And lift your torso and stretch out and lean the other way. Let's lift and stretch out and lean one way, then turn your head. And lift up and stretch out and lean, and turn your head. And lift up. And we've got another couple of movements in your spine. Take your spine and curl. Kind of make a hollow out of your chest, hands on the tops of your legs, and curl in. Let your back move towards the back. You can bring your head forward and tuck your tailbone. And bring yourself back to neutral spine. And then lift yourself into a stretch the other way. We curved back Now we'll lift forward. Put your hands in front or behind you. And lift and just stretch your chest forward. And you can bring your head back a little. Let's stretch our legs out in front of us. We moved our shoulders and moved our back and our necks. Now we're going to focus on hips, legs, hips, knees, ankles. So roll through your feet and your right knee, hold on and rock your right leg. And stick your right leg forward, bring your thigh toward your torso, put your leg down, reach down and hold on to your left leg. Rock it. Stick your leg out in front of you. And put the soles of your feet together and wiggle your sit bones back a little. Your knees might come all the way to the floor, or your knees might be way up. It doesn't matter where they are, but the point is to feel a stretch. Inner thighs, hips. And you might tilt forward or you might lean back. Let's cross legs underneath us. Come into your table position. You can stick one leg back behind you in the bird dog with your foot on the floor, or leg in the air, either way. Maybe try both, foot on the floor and leg in the air. And lay down. Stick your other leg long. Foot on the floor or leg in the air. Tuck your toes under, walk your hands back, and lift your torso so you're upright, stretching out the bottoms of your feet. And roll yourself into a forward fold. Your feet are on the floor. Your hands are reaching down. Your elbows could be on the tops of your legs, or your hands could be on the floor. Rock back a little bit more. We'll sit in a chair pose with arms overhead. Interlace your fingers. Point your fingers overhead. Stretch long and side stretch over to one side. Inhale to lift. Open your arms. Sit down into side chair pose. Both arms forward and up. Interlace your fingers. Point your fingers up. Side stretch over to one side. And lift and sweep in the side chair. Arms overhead, sit down, stand up, and your arms come down. Step forward onto your left foot, pick up your back heel, glide your back leg forward, put your hands together and turn your upper body. Your leg comes forward, stretch your arms forward, lift your back leg, get a little taller. Step back, we'll ease into pyramid pose, legs straight, tilt your torso until it comes about parallel to the floor. And then you can go even more if you want to, tilt your torso even more, or maybe you put your hands on the tops of your legs to give yourself more support. If you put your hands on the tops of your legs, notice that you could really straighten your legs and have your knees kind of locked, but bending your knees gives you more space and more muscle activity, more opportunity for strength. Lift your torso. Oh, and step together at the top of your mat. Um, rolling through your shoulders, up, back, and down. And shifting weight onto your right foot. Touch your left toes back behind you. Glide your left foot forward. Turn your upper body towards the left. Face forward. Glide your leg back. Your arms can come forward. You're in the dancer pose, long-legged dancer. Roll your foot back and you're tilting forward into the pyramid pose. Once again, tilting. Now, you might notice, I'm noticing a lot right now that one leg is a little tighter than the other. So that's an opportunity for you to adjust, change, or challenge yourself to be a little bit more aware about those differences in your body and how you work with those. You can keep your knees bent. You can attempt to straighten your legs more. You can sweep your arms back behind you. Let's bend knees to stand up and step back towards the middle of your mat. Walk your feet out a little bit. Walk your feet a little wider. Put your hands together. Bend into one knee. Bend into your other knee. You might turn to the side on your mat because we're going to go a little bit wider than this too. Or you can turn your mat to the face the sideways. Try to keep your toes pointed forward. And again, we're stretching inner thighs. Turn both sets of toes towards the top of your mat. Bend into your front knee. Let's find extended side angle. Try to keep your left side body long. Spread out your toes. Move your thighs towards each other. It helps lengthen your spine, connect into your core strength muscles. Take your top arm and wrap your top arm around behind you. Even though your left forearm is on your leg, there's not a lot of weight on your arm. It's mostly your torso, your core strength that's keeping your side body long. Lift your torso, straighten your legs, turn your toes forward. And we're give you either the option of doing exactly what you did before, bending into one knee, bending into the other knee. If your knees are not appreciating that, you could also practice stretching your hips, tilting your hips left and right. And if you're feeling like your knees are fine with this and you want to bring your arms out wide, you can bring your arms out wide and maybe tilt a little bit, giving yourself more opportunity for stretch on your inner thighs. Straightening, turning both of your toes over to the right now, bending into your right knee. Get the inner thigh stretch, but move your thighs towards each other. That lengthens your spine. Then tilt. Try to keep your right side body long, even though you're tilting, you're lengthening your spine. After you've set yourself into a strong position, your left arm wraps around behind you. And you're deepening your position, maybe by scooching your front forward, front foot forward, keeping your legs long, keeping your legs engaged. And it's tempting to lock your knee. If you keep just a little micro bend in your knees all the time, gives you more opportunity to practice strength. lengthen. Inner thigh and back of your thigh stretch. Great job. Lift your torso. Okay, you've got 3 different options now. You can have your hands together, bend into one knee, bend to the other knee. That can be a very, very light bend. You can bring your arms out wide and bend into one knee, bend into the other knee, perhaps a little deeper. Or you can take your hands down towards the floor and walk your hands over and sit, hip on your heel, other leg out to the side. You can wrap one arm around. Walking yourself over, other side, and you can wrap one arm around. Whichever way you were practicing, you can bring yourself up to a wide-legged stance, and then we'll inhale to reach out, exhale to hinge forward into wide-legged forward fold. Wide-legged forward fold can stop here. It can stop anywhere along this path, but you could put your hands down onto the floor or onto the fronts of your legs. Rock forward and back on your feet, rock back into your heels. Again, little micro bend in your knees to keep space in your muscles, some space in your joints. And allow your torso to come forward a little bit heavier, stretching out particularly the backs of your thighs. Walking your hands up your legs, come all the way up to standing carefully. Turn both sets of toes over towards the left. Take your left arm forward and tilt into the triangle pose. Triangle, again, lengthen your spine, both sides of your spine, and tilt. Tempting to keep both of your knees really locked. Try to keep your knees a little bit bent. Start to bend your front knee even more. Take your hand down to the floor and step forward into the half moon pose. Put your foot back down. You can lift and solid into warrior 2. Wrap your back arm around your front arm. Wrap your arms around each other. Step forward into eagle pose. Your back leg can take as many steps. Take as many steps as you want to. Steady yourself. Hook your leg over and sit down. Unwrap your leg. Step back. Give yourself the wide stance. Unwrap your arms. Open out wide. All right, let's do another iteration of side lunge position. You could also bring your arms out wide. You could also put your hands down and walk your hands over to one side. Your hands over to the other side. Carefully bringing yourself up to standing. And then you're turning your toes, other side. Extending your arms and tilting into the triangle pose. Triangle is a lot about long spine. Everything else is optional, extra. So your arms are extra, your legs are positions are a little extra. Give yourself as much space as you want in your joints. Just slightly bending them. And take your right hand down towards the floor and step forward into the half moon pose. Carefully let your back foot come down, get really solid in warrior two pose. You're squaring your weight evenly distributed between your front leg and your back leg. Take your back arm and wrap your back arm around. And you're stepping forward onto your front leg. Take as many steps as you want to with your back leg. It could be one step, it could be 15. And you're stepping forward and wrapping and sitting into the eagle pose. You can wrap as little or as much as you want to. Like you literally might put your foot on the floor to support you, or you might wrap quite a lot and even kind of bring your foot around behind as it wraps around your leg. Unwrap your leg, step back, unwrap your arms, turn your toes towards the long edge of your mat. Inhale to stretch wide, exhale to tilt forward into wide-legged forward fold. Now you can tilt forward into wide-legged forward fold and move your hips back, but you could also keep your hips, see that? You could also keep your hips more over your heels. That gives you a little bit more opportunity for stretch and strength. And you could take your hands down towards the floor. Try to keep your hips, your heels in one line. And if you start to feel like you want more space, bend your knees. If your hands are connected to either your legs or the floor, then you can take a rotation. But if you're lifting and not touching your legs or the floor, then stay here and give yourself a little bit more space. If you can give yourself support with one hand down, either on your leg or on the floor, you can take your other arm up towards the ceiling. And switch sides. One hand down, either on one of your legs or on the floor, and take your other arm up towards the ceiling. Both hands down, bend your knees. Carefully bring yourself back up. Get used to standing up. Your toes are pointing towards the long edge of your mat. If you've turned, squeeze your glutes a little and soften your knees. Turn your toes out. And then we're going into horse stance. Bend your knees and sink. Let your knees come right over your ankles. Now, if you are feeling super stretchy today and you want to, you could allow your hips and your knees, your thighs to come all into one line. But that is personal preference. And you're you're listening to your body to see if that seems like it's something you want to do. Horse stance. Rock weight into the balls of your feet, spread out your toes. Keep your thighs engaged, squeeze your glutes a little, keep your spine long. You could have your hands on the tops of your legs. Carefully straightening your legs. Turn your toes forward. Walk your feet back together. Now we'll do a familiar pose, tree pose, right foot on the floor, left knee turns out. You can bring your left foot to the inside of your right leg, anywhere along your leg, or you can have your toes on the floor. Press down into your leg. Lengthen through your spine. Breathe. Balance. Switch feet smoothly and step in. Balance. Breathe. Switch feet. You can do tree pose again, or you can do standing pigeon pose, crossing your ankle over your opposite knee, and then sitting down into, it's a little wobbly. You could take your elbows all the way down towards your crossed leg. You could take your hands down to the floor. Just quite a deep stretch. Standing up smoothly, step out and cross. And one side is probably going to be more balancy side. I definitely have a more balancy side. So you could maybe on your more balancy side, you can try letting your elbows come down or letting your hands come down towards the floor. And carefully walking yourself back up. You might fall over. That could happen. Not today. Put your feet back down onto the floor and move your hips around in a circle. And other way around in a circle. Okay, let's come down and do a plank. You can do that any way you want to. Put your hands down, slide your hands down on the floor. You can just bend your knees. Put your hands on the floor and step back into any plank that you like. Might be a plank with your arms long and your legs long, or maybe you're on one knee or both knees. Maybe you're on your forearms. Lots of different ways to do plank. Plank is a core strengthener. Breathe while you're doing your plank. It's very important. Keep breathing steadily in yoga. And gradually let yourself come down onto your stomach. Lengthen your legs. Put your hands on either side of your rib cage, elbows tucked in at your sides. If you want more space, walk your feet out to the edges of your mat, and you've got all of this space between legs completely together and wider. Take an inhale and then an exhale and lift your rib cage. In a low cobra pose. And lower your upper body. Take your arms, either forearms across the short edge of your mat or arms long out in front of you. Point your toes and lift your legs, and try to lift your legs from your thighs. Your thighs might not come up off the floor, but you could lift them, lighten them even, and let your legs come down. Turn yourself over onto your side and curl in. Let your whole back stretch out. And putting your hands on the floor, bring yourself up to a seated position. Okay. So sitting, we'll try a couple of these positions that we reduce standing. One leg out, one knee bent. You can reach your hand down towards your foot. Maybe your hand touches your foot. You can take your arm and wrap it around behind you. And switching sides. One leg's long out in front of you, one knee's bent. You can reach down, maybe hold on to your foot. Keeping just a little bit of bend in your knee. You can wrap your other arm around behind you. Sit up. Take your legs out in front of you and bring your legs into as wide or as shallow a V as you like. Your knees are bent to accommodate the fact that you're sitting on the floor. It's more challenging to keep your spine long and your legs stretching when you're sitting on the floor. And gradually bring yourself back into legs close together, depending on how wide or narrow the V of your legs was. And you're just walking your feet back towards each other, giving yourself a tall spine. Then hook your thumbs and lean back and lower yourself all the way onto your back. Once you're on your back, wiggle around on your mat. Place your feet on the floor, rock onto your toes, lift your heels, stretch out the fronts of your feet, the fronts of your shins. Press your heels down, turn your toes in, and turn your toes out. Then bring your feet parallel to the long edge of the mat. Bring your right leg in toward your chest and hold on to your right foot with your left hand. You can stay right like this. You can do a couple different things with your left leg. You can bring your left knee up toward your right ankle and bring your legs closer towards you. You could lengthen your left leg along the mat. You could float your left leg above the floor. If you're floating your leg and you want to, you can take your forearms, wrap your arms around your cross leg, and curl your nose up a little bit towards your cross leg. Gradually lower your head if you were lifting your head. Put your left foot on the floor. Take your right leg in the air and roll through your foot. Move through your knee and move through your thigh. And put your foot down onto the floor and notice the difference between your right leg and your left leg. Notice your breathing. Notice your head and your neck. Reach down, bring your left thigh in toward your torso and hold on to your left foot with your right hand. You can keep your foot flexed, and that gives your ankle more integrity when you bring your leg in. It also gives your knee a little more support. Then you can do a couple different things with your right leg. You can bring your right ankle, your right knee towards your left ankle. You can straighten your right leg along the mat, or you can float your right leg just above the mat. And if your right leg is floating, then you can curl up and wrap your forearms around your crossed leg. This is an upside down pigeon. If your head is up, you can put your head back down, put your right foot back down onto the floor, and put your left foot back down on the floor. Notice the difference between your legs. Notice your head and your neck. Notice your back. Wiggle around. Then gather up both legs into your hands. You can hold on to the backs of your knees and kick around. You can turn the soles of your feet up towards the ceiling. Sometimes people like to hold on to their feet. And place both feet down onto the floor. And stretch your legs long. Bring your arms long down by your sides. Take an inhale and squeeze up. Fists, face, chest, hips, legs, feet. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Exhale and release your squeeze. While you're settling into this resting position, you might discover that this is not a good resting position for you. And if that's so, then change. You can lay on your side, you can lay on your stomach, you can sit up. And there are all kinds of reasons why you might change your position. You don't have to stick it, you don't have to stay there if you don't like it. Start to let your breath deepen. You can stay in resting position for as long as you want to. If you're ready, you can start to make small movements, fingers, toes, ankles, wrists, your face, move through your spine. You can stretch your limbs out, gradually bring yourself back up to a tall spine. Once you have your tall spine, you can rub your hands together, re-enlivening your senses. You can open your eyes, look around you, tuck your elbows in at your sides, pull your thumbs toward your sternum. It's like a bookend or the end of your class. Just noticing all the different ways you can move your spine. You can turn one way, other way. You can stretch sideways, curving left and right. Curl your spine one direction, and stretch your spine the other direction, and give yourself that tall spine. Big soft inhale breath through your nose, And exhale through your mouth. Thank you very much. Thanks for practicing with comeback yoga. Thanks for practicing with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to practicing with you again soon. If you have any questions, if you need anything, if you're interested, go to comebackyoga.org. That's our website. And we would be excited to talk to you. And we've got lots of other options for classes. And please join the community and be take advantage of all the things that we have to offer. We'll see you soon. Take care.